on. I think myself and some other people were laughing just because of, I guess, some kind of cultural things, right? We watched the film and they found peace and happiness after murdering a guy. You know, there were moments in there where I'm like, what in the world is going on? So it wasn't a laughter at, I guess, the misfortune of the Senegalese painter, what is it, JJ? It was just kind of like this unbelievable storyline. But I think a lot of our films have this kind of emotional roller coaster. I know a lot of Nollywood films are like this. You know, something drastic always happens, and it's almost like over the top. You know, but that's kind of why I was laughing. Usually.
Okay, there were three good guys. No, there are three bad guys and one good guy. And the good guy dies and three bad guys end happily. That doesn't...
It's kind of, I guess we all have like a dark humor.
But by my own opinion, I feel like this is an American or a foreign movie with an African setting. But I mean, in an African, how does it happen that a child talks about
like a relationship at 18? Yeah.
Second of all, the Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance, someone is messing with his wife. He's not going to go there by himself. He has a lot of people who do that for him. Yeah.
True. But to me, honestly.
One last thing.
Go ahead.
If the Minister of Finance kills someone, I don't think he's going to want to cover it up himself. He has a lot of people who do that for him. Murder is like, he has money,
The moral to this story is don't let Peter be the Minister of Finance.
You're telling me because he's the Minister of Finance, he's not going to go to prison for that? It's not inevitable that he gets caught?
You might not get caught.
Even if he gets caught, nothing's going to happen. Okay, even if he gets caught, nothing's going to happen because...
But his political enemies wouldn't make sure that...
Now, unless if he has someone bigger tries to fight him, but I think he's the Minister of Finance, please.
I'm like here where like when it comes to crime investigation, you have like a lot of resources, like DNA testing and all of that. We don't have, at least to the best of my knowledge, we don't have that in Africa. So unless somebody is actually caught in the act of doing something, it's hard to prove, right? So how would they even prove that he killed this person?
Would there be an...
So it's you. Yes, but then it's your word against my word. You didn't see me doing it, so a lot of people like in power get away with a lot of things because there's no like concrete proof that they did that. Yeah.
There is no database to compare it. Even if I look at fingerprints on the crime scene, there is no way you can just look at fingerprints and compare it to...
Yeah, we don't have something like that.
There's
No.
no fingerprint database?
No. We don't. Well, that is to the best of my knowledge. We don't have that yet. So.
It's the golden rule. Whoever has the gold makes the rules, right? So a painter dying compared to the Minister of Finance, it's completely unlikely for them to ever trace it back to him. And even if they did, like they're saying this, to actually convict this man is unheard of. It's completely unheard of.
Would the courts be afraid of him?
Right.
Sometimes. I will cite this example. There's this investigator in my country, Ghana. He's called Anas, and he has taken it upon himself to do a lot of
Investigative journalism.
And I think a couple of months ago he had worked on some judges and lawyers who had been taking bribes from people to rule in their favor. And he actually came out with a lot of names. And some of them got punished, some of them did not get punished. Even with all the evidence that he came up with, recordings, videos, and everything. It's more like who you know. So I'm friends with the vice president. He can cover something up for me. So
Who you know and how much you can pay them.
Grace,
You don't have to
this
money.
Hamas guy, does he have like foreign background?
I can't tell.
Just
But I think he's not just one person though. He's
like the front.
like a group, like for people that actually help him, but then it's just
But personally,
and you've never seen
all those people who come to the front, I'm like, they're strong, they are strict. They don't do don't take bribe, any of those things. I don't really believe them. I feel like all of them are bulldogs to some powerful people. Those powerful people use them to get their opponents. So these people are Anas guy. I'm not trying to discourage him. I don't trust him.
I'm Anas' biggest fan, and you need to go on, you can Google his TV segments, but Anas has been doing videos about Chinese open pit gold mining that leaves arsenic all over the rivers, and he's had exposés. And actually, I know somebody in Houston who went to like grade school, primary school with Anas, so he really knows what he looks like. Anas always comes in disguise, so no one currently knows what he exactly looks like, but this guy in Houston does know him, that we were going to invite him to the festival. So we decided this is our first year with the film festival, we can't do it, but next year we plan to try to bring Anas, which would be... Okay, so no, Anas, I think if Anas were hurt, the journalists in the journalist community around the world would back him up. But I don't think he's corrupt, I think he's the real deal. I think he's really courageous.
Others were just, you are used to things being bad, so you
Okay.
trust.
Okay. Wait a second, you're used to things being bad, and so you just assume, oh.
Yeah, it's one of those things again.
Benefit of what? I'm Nigerian, please.
You have to speak, you want to say something?
I already said it.
I'd like to segue into this conversation that we're having right now about criminality, corruption. It kind of ties into my film. So my father came here early 1980s. He's from the Delta region, which you know is a sea region. They worked over on the water. So he, after working all kinds of different jobs, he finally made his way into the Merchant Marines. That was right around the time I was born in '88, and eventually, by the time I was getting out of high school, he became the first African captain in the Gulf of Mexico, which was a huge deal. But he didn't stay in that position long. He immediately, I guess 1 or 2 years later, went back to Nigeria, and his whole thought was to change the way the port system worked in Nigeria, because we were allowing people to come in and take our resources and leave without any type of regulation. So he took the Coast Guard system here and took it to Nigeria, and he showed the government that, listen, if we abide by these rules, the country can enrich itself, and we can make sure that we are not being robbed. So what happens in Nigeria when you try to change things? So 3 years ago, he died mysteriously. So my documentary was about the journey this man took, right? Because Africa can be dangerous. Our homes can be dangerous. And when we talk about corruption and we talk about people being the bulldogs for somebody bigger, somebody stronger, that's true. It is absolutely the truth. And we say we don't trust because in reality, it is very hard to trust in Africa. Not saying corruption happens everywhere. This is not corruption is not a Nigerian thing. It's not an African thing. It exists everywhere. But when you're from Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and you experience it so much, the blatant in your face, they don't even try to hide it. Nebai is still taking light every single day. How can Nebai take light I'm sitting in my house and Nebai just take light, ah! How can that happen? Because somebody's getting paid. And not only are you getting paid, but you're getting paid. My father always brought this novel concept to Nigerians every time he met with them in a business relationship. Why would you take $20 to mess over your people when if you did the right thing, you can make 100. You do not have to be corrupt to make money. You do not have to hurt somebody to get ahead. The power of that was so great. The power of corruption was so great that it comes to a point in Nigeria. I'm speaking for Nigeria specifically. It's either you will do what they say or you'll be eliminated. And my father did not. He was just too straight. He was just too straight. And one day we get the call. So the film is about that journey, the journey of a man who is trying to change things. He could have stayed here and made money and never again went back to Nigeria. And even when things got rough and got difficult, there were times he was poisoned. He knew that his time was getting closer and closer and closer. But he always said that he's going to make sure this change happens, no matter what. But in reality, our lives are very fragile. And once they take it from us, there's a hole. So not to give you the whole documentary, I really, really hope that you all can come to TSU tomorrow. Please, if you have the chance, if you have the opportunity. Alberto, if you want to say a few words about the process of us actually, because things like this. Go ahead, Alberto.
The movie's called The Price of a Dream. It'll be shown at TSU tomorrow. Kevin will be there.
My name is Alberto. About the film, well, I don't know if you can, but if you can, we will be there tomorrow. And I don't know. Well, the film was shot in Nigeria, and we spent there like 10 days around there. And to be honest, like 10 days, I figured out like how Nigeria is like dealing with everything. Like as you say, like the problem you can see like straight away. And just for me, like 10 days, I just saw everything, like from the police standpoint to the cultural, everything, and you can see it in there. And the film is about Kevin's father and about what was his goal, what was his dream to bring to his native village. And it was a dream, and that dream, it was so high that cost his life. But it is really strong, and we knew, or we wanted to meet with people that knew his father. We went to different places. We went to Trinidad and Tobago to film in there. We stay in Nigeria. We filmed some persons here in the US, and we saw in different persons that everyone that we interviewed talked about good things about Captain Rome. And that's a good point for just to know that people know that he was doing right, and just bad people or government that didn't want things to go in the right direction didn't like him, so something had to give. And in this sad case, it was something that still we are not like really clear what really happened, and the documentary talks about that. Like, what happened in all this process? Why happened this? And we just interview people. We just wanted to know a little bit more of the history, and at the end we know, like, okay, everybody was happy with him, with his work, but everything was good. So what happened? The story of the film, and it takes you there and takes you to the story about a captain, as I said before, that wanted to make something better in Nigeria, in his village, starting in his village, and that's this story about the film.
Kevin, can I just say, I was so struck when I saw your film. I thought it was one of the most important films that I'd seen in a long time, partly because I think port corruption is such a tremendous issue around the world, and we were talking about it before, that port corruption in Africa actually impedes everything further on in, because special economic zones don't work correctly unless you have clear, clean port access. So if port corruption continues to be a problem, it blocks economic development, everything on the inside. But in America, and then I want to go back to saying the importance of film and Anas, in America, port corruption was a terrible problem in the 20s, 30s, but there was a tremendous film called On the Waterfront. Has anyone seen that? On the Waterfront? Okay, there's an American film called On the Waterfront. Marlon Brando. Kevin, you saw On the Waterfront?
I've heard it, but I haven't.
Oh, I can't believe it. Okay, you've got to see On the Waterfront. Okay, there was a powerful film, On the Waterfront, with Marlon Brando, and it was the first awareness that Americans had of port corruption at their ports. Ports were dangerous places. People were killed, like Kevin's father. But this movie opened the eyes of the American public. It was one of the most viewed films that year. I think it won all kinds of Oscars. People still see it, even though it's like 100 years old now, On the Waterfront. So the power of films, like your film, Kevin, to talk about a problem and communicate with a lot of people, a large number of people, can't be underestimated. It's the most important thing. Anas is doing great work, I think. Kevin, your film is really important, and I hope you continue this.
Well, thank you. And that's another thing I want to impact on the students here now. You know, your story is special and it's unique. Is everybody going to make a documentary? Is everybody going to make a film? Not necessarily. But sharing your story is so important to the progression of the rest of the world. You might feel like my story, who am I to tell this story? Who am I to do this? But your story is going to help somebody else. You know, so in any chance and every opportunity you get to speak on your life experiences, you know, go ahead and do that. If you're a writer, write. If you're a painter, paint. If you're a filmmaker, make your film. You know, share that experience with the rest of the world, because that is how we create change. You know, I know some things are personal and dear to us, and some things in the film are very private moments. But you know, I feel like my life and my father's life and my mother's life and our family's life should be a teaching tool. You know, so we can, if we are ready to make that change, we can see exactly how we want to go about it and the consequences of it, because there are consequences, you know, good and bad. So again, tomorrow, 6 o'clock, Texas Southern University. It's in 3rd Ward, Houston, 3100 Cleburne. We is it in the?
Yeah, they're flyers.
It's on the Facebook page and in the flyer. So please, it's an excellent campus. I'm sure a lot of y'all live around here, so it's a little far from here. But you know, if you have the opportunity, please come. We're gonna have a lot of open dialogue, a lot of talking. Great people are gonna be at speaking tomorrow as well. So please come. And I would love to see you all there. If you have any questions for me, I'm gonna hang around here for a little bit longer. I'm not gonna hold on to the mic and take up the rest of y'all time. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Natasha. Okay, Natasha would say thank you to Kevin Johnson and TSU.